So this is the ElseViews. The first one is the next in a long line of shows that have been rebooted or restarted. This is Roseanne. They aired the first 2 episodes Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. And I gotta say, this has actually done something interesting for me, because when I was growing up, when the show first came out, I wasn't the biggest fan. You know, I'd watch it occasionally. I watched it a little bit more when it aired on Nick at Night, but for the most part, I watched more Full House. Now we fast forward to 2 years ago when we got Fuller House, or last year when we got Fuller House, and it going on, and we're at
One Day at a Time.
3 seasons. Well, I never watched the original One Day at a Time, but I do like that, the One Day at a Time, the new one.
I got suckered into a couple episodes of those One Day at a Times, and I was kind of surprised because I fucking hated the original.
But this has done something actually really interesting with the whole Roseanne Full House thing. Is I've switched. I've gotten really bored of Fuller House.
Okay.
And I loved watching Roseanne. Now it was weird because my mom and her boyfriend, because I was watching wrestling at the time, because Tuesday Night SmackDown, come on, and I heard them, and I heard actually him laughing at different at the show, and we're not that far apart, but so I could hear what he was laughing at, and I'm like, oh, Roseanne must be on. And then later when I'm watching it the next day, I'm like, I think we were laughing at different parts. And but it was working. I've fully loved this show. They brought everyone back. The only person that I haven't seen in here was Johnny Galecki, but he comes back later on in the show.
What network? Is this on a network?
This is
this
on
is
ABC
on
ABC.
ABC, okay.
Yeah, it's come back to ABC, and they actually done an interesting thing, because with how the original ended, I believe Dan had a heart attack and Roseanne won the lottery.
The original season 9, the last season of the show, turned out to all be in the imagination and writing of the Roseanne character. Dan had a heart attack at the end of season 8, and season 9 began with them winning the lottery and going on, and a lot of weird stuff happened. Characters changed completely, relationships switched off, a whole bunch of stuff happened. And at the last episode of the show, she revealed that she had done all that in the story to kind of work her way through the anxiety that happened from Dan having a heart attack and dying.
Oh, okay. I didn't really watch it at all, but I mean,
the last season is commonly considered to be terrible.
Yeah,
it ruined all of the heart of the show, and it wasn't particularly funny.
I never really enjoyed it ever. I just there was something about just kind of I don't know what I was saying about culture or something that I didn't like, but I'm sure it was a great show, and I know a lot of people who do like it, and I totally respect that. So I'm actually looking forward to checking it out.
Yeah.
See what this is about, because the
other beautiful thing is, because they it was filmed in front of a studio audience, but they didn't do for the first episode. They didn't do it's the legit.
No. I mean, the laugh track crap is.
But here's the thing though, it's not a laugh track. It is legit in front of a studio audience.
Is it now?
Yes.
Legit in front of an audience?
Yes.
Whoa. Okay.
They sit there and they say, and they've even showed in the promos leading up to the show, the audience and stuff like that.
But I will say, even recorded in front of a live audience, there's still a laugh track, because they still put up the signs to tell the audience how to laugh and how loud to laugh.
There's with that, I didn't catch any of that at all in here. It seemed like it was just
and when to swoon and go, aww.
Yeah, but
they have those signs.
That is much closer to what you get on Fuller House.
Yeah, on Fuller House, because I don't think we've seen any. I don't think I heard any swooning or anything here, but I think that might be why I like it a little bit more, because to compare reboot pilot to reboot pilot, the Fuller House one was definitely way more. Well, here's DJ and her kids, and now here's and everyone's like, yeah. And then in comes Kimmy Gibbler, and and it's all very much like this. And the best part on there was when John Stamos made a crack at Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen for not being a part of the thing, and everyone laughs, and that was really I mean, that was really the best part of that pilot. With Roseanne, you get none of that. It's just they go about their lives. It's literally the start of season 10, which you could almost just call it season 9 and just, forget about the Fantasy Island season 9 that they had that they ended with. But yeah, I mean, it starts with, because didn't season 8 end with Roseanne going, Dan, like that, like over and over?
With him dying?
Because he had a heart attack.
Yeah. So they started with that, but he's
what?
on a CPAP machine. Like he's like,
Right.
What? I was having a good dream. And all, and it's really funny. The cast up and down, I loved. If you've watched Shameless, the actress who plays Debbie plays Darlene's oldest kid in here. And it really seems like it's sort of, a cleaned down version, because, Shameless is on Showtime, but a cleaned down version of Debbie, because she's just, bitchy teenager and all that in here. But yeah, it's really good, really fun. I'm definitely going to be watching this. I've added it to my series watch list thing on Hulu. So if I can't watch it live because of other things or work, I will definitely be watching it the next morning on Hulu.
I have a serious post-it note where I've actually, it's come down to the point where I have to write down, this happens to be like twice a year, I have to fucking write down every television show that I want to watch to remind myself to actually watch it.
Yeah. When Hulu was still free, it was sort of the opposite thing, because I would see all of them because they would release them early or have clips and stuff like that. And,
yeah, well, I mean, I've been looking at HBO and other places and stuff.
Yeah. But no, I'm probably not that far behind from doing that myself. Just like, here's a list.
And also it helps me prioritize that, like, I don't really need to watch that last episode of let me see, I don't know which one I went to, Homeland. Like, I've been catching Homeland because I used to do a podcast on it, but I don't really need to see that, because I'd rather watch the season finale of High Maintenance, or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, that's awesome. I'm definitely gonna check it out then. I appreciate your. Was it you that mentioned the show on? I think it was ABC. God, I can't remember the name of it, but the girl. I think she was in Fargo.
Downward Dog.
The dog. Downward Dog.
Which unfortunately was canceled. But
yes,
was a favorite show of mine for that entire season that it was on.
Okay, I love that. I immediately watched it like the next week after we talked, and God, it was so good. I loved every minute of it. And when it was canceled, I tweeted a bunch of stuff, and I think whoever owned their Twitter account retweeted something I said about them, because I was so gung-ho about them, like that how sad it was that show was going to go. But yeah, there's a show now on Amazon called Cat, and I was like, and it was like, this cat has a job, but she doesn't even know she's a cat. She thinks she's a human. She's got roommates. And I watched like 5 minutes of that thing, and I was like, this insults me as a cat owner. It was so horrible, and it definitely wasn't like Downward Dog at all.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Yeah, the thing about Downward Dog, just real fast, is that I don't think we knew what kind of show it was until several episodes in, when it really became evident that it's about the anxieties of people, and then seeing those anxieties reflected in the dog the whole time.
Yes.
And exploring depression and exploring, what is my meaning in life and everything. It was so well done. And at times could be really dark and heartfelt, but still be really funny. Like every time the dog was talking, you're just like, I can't believe how hilarious this is. But then at the same time, it's kind of tugging you inside, like, wow, I explore those feelings too. Or I feel like that all the time. And it was just so well done. And I think it was a show that was not easy to pitch to an audience.
Yeah.
Because there's no way to just simply explain it. You have to kind of see it and experience and go along with it. Because it sounds ridiculous, but it played out so beautifully. And her sort of broken relationship with her on again, off again boyfriend, and how that kept going back and forth, and how she felt betrayed by him, but couldn't also let him go at the same time, and how he wanted to still be there for her, but couldn't really find the responsibility himself. it was excellent the whole time, and it's a kind of wonderful little show that kind of is better that it's ever so brief, because it's inconceivable to see that magic lasting indefinitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, honestly, Downward Dog was one of those shows where I was like, I can't look at my dog. I feel too guilty. Go away. Go away.
I know. Like, I mean, I've never felt good at like having intimate relations in my bedroom with my cats around, but like now, never again. They're going to have to go sit outside the door.
Yeah. So I'm going to hit my other ElseView real quick because, and it's honestly, it's going to be real quick. It's, I finally watched it. The people can, the one commenter we got can quit complaining. I've watched Justice League. I only like Justice League. Well, from what you missed, when the movie came out, we talked about the movie and some of the effects. We were trying to stay away from reviewing the movie because neither me nor Corey had seen it. And all I've got to say is, good God, Henry Cavill, shave your fucking lip for the next movie.
I have loved him as an actor. I loved him in The Tudors. I loved him as the Lord of Norfolk or whatever he was that he played in The Tudors. But there's something about this. Like when I saw him in the Justice League, I thought, is this him? Like his face and the fucking smugness of Superman pissed me off.
Yeah.
Like, come on, take it down a bit. I mean, we get it that you're Superman, but you don't have to be so goddamn smuggy, And that's the one thing about this film I did not like, but I definitely actually really enjoyed it, and I know most people didn't. And okay, I'm sorry. This is your review, not mine.
You're good.
Okay, but I'll say very quickly that I tried to watch it in the theater, and I made a complete fool of myself because I'm a former projectionist, or I'm a certified projectionist still, and I was so pissed off at the theater for not having any flat screens. They only had scope screens, and they were trying to show this film on a scope screen, so. Like it's kind of curvy, and they didn't have any masking. So it was like in the middle of the screen, here's your movie, enjoy it. And I know that people didn't like the film because I could tell nobody else was pissed off. I was pissed off. I went out and I complained a couple times, like, can you do something about the masking? And they were like, well, we decided, this was an AMC theater. It's like, we decided years ago that we would take that out. And like, and I'm like, this is bullshit. This is fucking projection 101. You could put some fucking masking up there because you've got all this like gray screen, and no wonder everyone hates the fucking film. So I didn't actually decide that I enjoyed it until I watched it on DVD.
So that's honestly, that is why I have not went to it used to be Carmike Cinemas, now is an AMC theater, because of I'm an audiovisual nerd. I'm basically, I was the behind the scenes theater geek, but was just lazy enough to not get involved in theater. Where, but it's like with them, like I remember watching The Dark Knight there, and the one theater where it actually was slightly okay, and then watching The Avengers where it was like Keystone, and I'm like, what the fuck? Why are we doing the trapezoid shape here? And I'm like, I look back, I'm like, oh, it's because your projector's over here in the corner. Why isn't it in dead goddamn center? And all that. That's like,
God damn it.
Yeah. To answer your question, Beat, no, I watched Justice League I bought the Blu-ray. Conveniently enough, when I got my Samsung S9 Plus at Target, I got a $100 gift card. So I got that, Shape of Water, Coco, and Jumanji for free, essentially, because gift card, free money.
Nice.
Sweet. Yeah. And then also stuff for my tattoo that I had gotten the night before.
What?
But yeah, I mean, that's honestly is my biggest complaint, is the whole mustache thing, because I can tell it literally took me out every time. No, it is, because it took me out. I get, I'm sitting there, I'm like, mustache.
I didn't even see it.
Well, no, you don't see it. It was poorly edited out. It's the same thing as what we were talking about earlier with the new X-Men movie and New Mutants. They have to have reshoots done.
Yeah.
They had to do reshoots with a lot of the Henry Cavill scenes of
So
Superman.
that's why he looks so fucking weird.
Yes,
he had grown out a mustache for his role in the new Mission Impossible, and
my God.
he couldn't shave it off to be in the reshoots. So they edited it, and they did a piss poor job of editing. And as people have proven online, hey, we took some of the original footage and we edited out the mustache, and he looks like an actual human being instead of whatever you made him look to be. The opening of the movie is a scene of him seeming the most like Superman he's ever been.
Oh my God, I had no idea.
Looking like a freak. It's like, I didn't know that the Justice League had Plastic Man in it in this film. But that's what it appeared.
That was my biggest... Oh my God, yes.
So what it is, and what it is...
Maybe he would have been so smug to me if it hadn't been for his weird face.
No, because that's honestly what it is because if you look at, from
like even in those romantic scenes with Lois Lane, I felt like, run, bitch, run.
So what it was a lot of the talking scenes were reshot from like what it looks like from being like here and stuff like that. But if
God,
you look,
I hate
if
you
you
guys
look
for
again,
knowing so much about everything.
No. I apologize because this is my intro to music, or no, my understanding music class all over again. Because someone pointed out about the teacher in college, pointed out like, oh, he'll get sidetracked on baseball, and like I go into class the next day, and I'm like, in my head, I'm just like, God damn it. You had to pop the balloon. But no, because honestly, what it is that I feel like
No, actually, you made me like it better now.
Yeah. But what it is with the whole thing is, if you look closely at Henry Cavill's upper lip, this sounds weird coming from me, but whatever. He has I don't know what you call it, but the spots that go down below your nostril, those protrude a little bit more than what it does when it's so it's flat. So that's what it is when they did it, they didn't give the depth, because you'll notice it especially in the three-quarter shots and all that. So that's where I'm like, CG. And sometimes the mustache created like a hair lip thing where it's like this like Hern. I'm like, stupid.
It sounds like a lot of poor decisions was made in the making of this.
And
I mean, in the story, the CGI or otherwise CGI, other than that, like there was nothing I really had an issue with. I enjoyed it.
Here's what I'll say about the story. The story made me respect the choices, and I'm going to piss off Corey here now, the choices and the way the stories were told in Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. Because if you look at this as the Superman trilogy, this is where we get the closest to, if not getting, a truer representation of Superman, where there's a scene in the movie where and granted it's towards the end, but Superman doesn't appear till later on, but where Batman has, they're in the Russian place where Steppenwolf is, turning the world, combining the three mother boxes and all that. And Batman's like, okay, come on, we're going to go fight him. But Superman with his super hearing hears people go, out there and goes and helps them. Complete opposite from Man of Steel, where it's like where he was just solely focused on defeating Zod.
Yes.
And all that. So it's this beautiful, aggravating but beautiful arc going from basically it's honestly a Superman that didn't decided to use his powers later in life, so we're just ignoring all of Smallville.
So my question to you, Gregor, is the scenes that you're talking about in Justice League where Superman is making the conscientious choice to go save people as opposed to fighting the villain. And I also want to point out
that's spot on Superman.
The very first scene of Wonder Woman in this movie is when she is saving a group of people in a building that looks very similar to the building where Superman was when he broke Zod's neck. Were those scenes put into this by the original creator on the movie or by Joss Whedon? Is it a course correct or was it always planned? Now, I can't tell you which it was.
Oh my God, you motherfuckers.
I feel like, because this is a movie that is two halves, it's two fathers trying to guide this film. And some people can astutely say, oh, well, that one's obviously Zack Snyder. Oh, that one's obviously Joss Whedon. I'm not as comfortable saying which is which, but it does seem that in some of those things, it may be that this is not saying this was always the plan for Justice League to bring us the Superman that we believe in after going through a movie where I feel like there was no Superman, and a movie where Superman was the villain to a very confused world's greatest detective because somebody decides he likes piss in a jar and wants to manipulate other people because both their moms are named Martha. I don't know if that was always the destination we're going to reach, or if it was just circumstance of changes. Either way, I think I've mentioned before, I enjoy a good amount of Justice League in ways that I have not enjoyed Batman v Superman or Man of Steel. It's still just my opinion. But I feel like DC's film universe is course correcting in a way that I prefer. Because I definitely liked Wonder Woman for the first 2/3 especially, and it falls apart for me when it starts to look like a Zack Snyder war fighting movie. I liked a lot of the humor in Suicide Squad, even though it had no coherent plot and was just over the top to be over the top and was a long, drawn-out movie trailer instead of an actual film. I like Justice League, probably, again, more because of the Joss Whedon stuff, but because I think it made a coherent team. It made me like Cyborg. And I like Cyborg in Teen Titans, but I have not liked Cyborg as part of the Justice League. But I like the portrayal of the character in this film. So overall, I think we all came out of it feeling a lot better with this movie than what popularity says about it. Was it a perfect film? No, but it had so many things stacked against it, from the mustache to the two different directors, writers, to Warner Brothers trying to make it a different movie than what it was originally going to be because they were having problems with the vision that Zack Snyder was having and the success of it from before. So many things against this film being at all good. And I think it achieved a lot more than what it was probably ever likely to with that much against it.
So here's what I think they are trying to accomplish now. Because actually before I get to that, I want to hit on the characters. The Trinity, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, they're, Wonder Woman, boom, they've already got, Gal Gadot was really good in here. Felt like to me like she was playing the mother in this because it seemed like the same look every time. It was sort of like you guys.
No, there was a lot of I definitely felt like as a female character, she fell into, I don't know, they used her definitely in a way that didn't make me feel, well, I'll wait until we talk about Black Panther and the female roles there compared to Wonder Woman. Although I'm so super happy with DC for being the one to give this much attention to Wonder Woman. When DC has not done that, we don't have a Black Widow yet, specific individual film. So in Marvel, so that okay, but I definitely was feeling a little uncomfortable with some of Wonder Woman's
judginess. Well, she was the stoic, straight character where everybody else got to be more laid back and comedic and stuff. She was always the one who was kind of judging Bruce on his actions, and he always got to make the funny joke lines of like the self-sabotaging, like, I kind of suck, I know I really fucked up there, and all that stuff. And she's just like, she just shakes her head. Gregor said it, the mom on the sitcom.
The comment from Poseidon that she was sexy and beautiful and then all flash beam around her, and just kind of a more, I don't know. I definitely felt a little bit of a dude wrote this.
She didn't have enough personality reflected in this of what she is. I don't think she was necessarily out of character, but her character was hardly explored. And especially after having so much great stuff done in the Wonder Woman movie
I agree.
with her,
But the
it
Wonder
was a-
Woman backstory, or I mean, the Isles of Wonder Woman, or whatever, like that absolutely was. I think that was probably one of the best parts of it. You know, because there's like 5 different stories going on here, and I think that was the one part that maybe it was just me, maybe it was because I was looking for the Wonder Woman, but I enjoyed that more. But yeah, you're right, her character. Like her lines in this story, it was nothing to write home. I mean, I just didn't. I don't know.
And we also know, again, Zack Snyder prefers longer movies. When this thing got announced that it was going to be under 2 hours, a lot of people were pissed, and they're like, "Well, that's just not long enough to do this movie." Maybe that's true. Maybe it is too short to do this movie. There are a lot of characters. Some of them we're seeing for essentially the first time, other than little quick flashes, here and there in Batman v Superman. To try to establish that, to try to establish a villain who I think was not well established at all, and the motivations, the concepts of mother boxes, and those never get explained. There's just so much going on that, of course, the ones who've had their own solo films before this should not get the same level of exploration as some of these other things do. But again, the movie was shot to be one thing and then edited to be another thing. And at the end of the day, we're lucky that we got something that was as enjoyable as it was.
So, I mean, Batman, they're hitting a little bit more, more the detective, less of the, you said Martha, character. Superman already talked about. But then you get the 3 new characters of Aquaman, played by Jason Momoa.
Cyborg,
which I'm blanking on the actor who plays him. I think it's like Ray something. And then Ezra Miller, who plays the Flash. I love those 3 characters. Like Corey, like you said earlier, I felt like they really did nail Cyborg. Especially the drama of, well, am I man or am I machine sort of deal. Aquaman, it was just a great new take on him. Even with, like, I felt like it was Ben Affleck ad-libbing a little bit of these, like the whole where he's like, you talk to fish, right? Like that little bit in there, like hitting at, like some of the old, Super Friends. Oh, it's Aquaman. He's the butt of a joke. What's his power? Oh, he talks to fish and he swims in the water. Okay, well, we're on land. We don't need him. Okay, guys. But still making him awesome because of the fact that he seems like he can jump for miles at a time and, is super strong and all this stuff. And then you got the Flash, who was really nervous, even though we saw him a little bit in Suicide Squad and in Batman vs Superman for like a really quick minute. He was the one that I felt I loved the most because of the fact that it was, now it does seem like it was, Corey, back me up from the comic books, but it seems like it was amalgamation of Barry and...
It felt very much closer to Wally West. Wally West's characterization, especially in the Justice League cartoon series, it seemed so much like that. You don't get any of Barry's cop ability. You don't get him as an investigator, a CSI crime scene investigator or anything. This is a kid that discovered his powers and is living off junk food in a way too expensive for him warehouse. Again, I wonder, how do these people get these wonderful toys? It's just, but it's all in all, the electricity of the characters with the actors playing them themselves, that was the fun part for the movie. The movie was not good in looking at Steppenwolf or his motivations or his animations or the Parademon stuff or any of that. The moments that were great were these characters when they're on screen together and they're interacting, and it's that camaraderie, that funny, jokey dialogue that Whedon excels at and utilized so perfectly in Avengers. It's just that there was no way to make a cohesive here in this film. I think going forward, if they go forward, they have a lot that they can take and move on with. The fact that they still hope to do a Ben Affleck Batman movie, the fact that they still hope to do a Man of Steel 2 with Cavill, I want those things to happen because my problems with these films have never been the actors. My problems have been the direction of these films, the stories that they were trying to tell, and I just didn't find them agreeable. This is when I start to see that there's something that I can get excited about with these characters, because I love these characters. And everybody who was in this, Ray Fisher, who we were thinking of, who played Cyborg, they were great. Were they, in my head, what I picture when I see these characters. Certainly, Momoa is so far away from what Aquaman has been in the 40-something years that I've known the character. But I don't have a huge problem with that because he's definitely got his fans.
I've never been into Aquaman. I don't know.
Yeah, Aquaman was unfortunately considered a joke from the Super Friends on. There's been some great runs of his book. Peter David did an incredible run of Aquaman.
Show me a Mighty Isis. Bringing in Mighty Isis.
Isis is a part of Legends of Tomorrow, the CW show, actually.
What? Really?
I don't know if they've turned her officially into Isis yet, but the character that's on the show is supposed to be Isis.
Oh my God! Don't make me go watch that.
now,
will make you watch it. He's actually the one watching it and seems to enjoy this season a lot.
Because my Isis is my long time childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Go ahead.
I don't think they're ever going to call her that at this point, but
no, you can't call her Isis now. But you can call her Mighty Ice. Well, I don't know. Fine. Fuck it.
Now here's why I really do love the casting of Jason Momoa, and it's the one time that I truly get people who complain like, oh, they made Johnny Storm black and all that stuff. You have a character who is supposed to be the king of the oceans, the king of the seas, and the ruler of Atlantis, and we always picture him being in the Atlantic Ocean when there's a bigger fucking ocean on the other side here called the Pacific Ocean and all that, where they have a lot of of islands in this Pacific Ocean here who Jason Momoa hails from. He is Hawaiian, his dad is native Hawaiian and all that, to where it looks like if you were to take a king of the sea, you would do that. Like I would go one of two ways. Either you go more like Thor, where he's Norse and like a Viking, or you go Pacific Islander. And
so Beat is saying a couple things in the chat. I want to be clear. My problem with Jason Momoa Aquaman, first of all, I don't have a huge problem with it.
No,
it has nothing to do with race. Has nothing to do with making him Pacific Islander. It is Arthur Curry. The whole thing of Arthur, King of Atlantis, is based off of Arthurian legend.
Yeah.
So it's a different kind of mindset of what the character is supposed to represent from his original creation, and then obviously has been changed. They took him and they made him funny, which is great, but they took all of the stoicism of Arthur, who should be closer to what they had Wonder Woman act like in this, because he's not as funny as that. But good
point.
Those characters that are just so straight-laced, it's not going to be an enjoyable movie. I think that it was a good move to do for the films, and I look forward to what they're going to do with his individual film coming up.
Yeah.
It was just very different from the comics and from the cartoons that preceded it. Sometimes that difference is good. Sometimes the change is healthy. It's needed to make these things happen. But I'm also a person who's a very big stickler at the same time of like, Superman doesn't kill people. Batman doesn't shoot people. Those are things that are inherent to my belief of who these characters are. So if I'm saying that you can't change those things, it seems silly that in the same breath I'm saying, oh yeah, but change Aquaman. Because it's either Aquaman doesn't matter as much to me, those things, or the fundamentals of Aquaman aren't as well established as those. But I don't know that's necessarily the case. You take an Aquaman true fan, and they have problems that are realistic to who the character is, not just because of the skin tone of the person playing them. They might have legitimate gripes, and I have to give them that cadence. But I just saw it as when he was on screen, I enjoyed him. I had fun watching him be part of this movie.
As a novice comic person here,
mm-hmm.
I find it extremely sexy that you guys understand and think about this stuff so much, because there's something about it like that is so awesome.
Yeah.
So I appreciate. Because I relate that to the other like geekdoms that I'm heavily like I care about, and in particular in comedy. Like you get like I appreciate this conversation. So.
Yeah, here this is just gonna add to that, calling us sexiness here. But I look at Aquaman, at Arthur Curry, as this is him very early. Like he's had the powers for a while, but he hasn't had the the royal pressures put on him yet. I think we're going to see that more in an Aquaman movie, because if that was really explored here, we'd have a 5-hour movie. I'd still be watching the goddamn thing, before I could review it and all that. I will say, as a final bit of note, the movie had a mid-credit sting and a post-credit sting. I love that post-credit sting. I feel like that actually, no, hold on. I'm trying to remember if I saw a fake upper lip or not. But just because it's one that's done all the time. They did it in Supergirl, with the Flash jumping over there for their crossover episode where they had all right, who's fastest? Which ocean you want to run to? They're like, oh well, I've never been to the Pacific, and he starts to goes through, and Superman's like,
yes, which makes me think that maybe DC is the West Coast and Marvel might be East Coast now.
Yeah,
in the East Coast West Coast rivalry.
And then the other one of Lex Luthor.
Yeah, we'll start our league of our own.
Yeah, which honestly, if they can get Jesse Eisenberg, I had to think a minute, Jesse Eisenberg or Michael Cera, to not sound.
It was Andy Samberg, you dick.
But if they can get Jesse Eisenberg to not sound and act like he does in every movie.
Yeah, I felt like I was watching The Social Network.
Yeah. He would be a great Lex Luthor. Like it was that proved it there. Not this emo whatever kid you had in Batman vs Superman.
I don't think he was emo. I think he was hyper kinetic like he always is. He was very tense and everything like he always is. He's got that high energy, but the problem again for me in Batman v Superman, it's not even the fact that they use Eisenberg and he plays like Eisenberg does and everything. It's that the motivations of the character didn't make sense. They didn't get explained well. They didn't get explored well, and so his machinations just come together because you have to do it for the story to happen, even though there's no logic to it.
Yeah,
and Lex Luthor is a character that is one of the most intelligent and logical characters out there. He's just driven towards terrible things, and they didn't utilize that. I think Eisenberg is fully capable of that as an actor. They just gave him a bad story to perform in. And so potentially he could be. Is he who I think of when I think of Lex Luthor? Not even close. But we've had multiple portrayals of Luthor, and it might be closer to what they were going for in Smallville than it was from the comics or from Kevin Spacey or Gene Hackman. There's a lot of Luthor portrayals.
What's fucked up is that I've watched a lot of the previous Supermans across the board, and I almost said, yeah, they should get Kevin Spacey's Lex Luthor. And then my brain clicked. It started working because it hasn't been working throughout this entire podcast tonight. And I was like, holy shit, he has played Lex Luthor. And I know that very well. Yeah. But anyways, yeah.
But yeah, so let's
But they couldn't get him now, of course, because #MeToo.
Yeah. That's
another podcast for another day.
Yeah.
For more on this Galactic Network podcast, go to gncast.com. That's GNCASTS.com.